So good morning, everybody. I hope you had a good weekend and that you all enjoyed some autumnal sunshine. Now, this morning is our Remembrance Assembly. So at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the First World War ended. The 11th of November and the Sunday closest to this date are the days on which we remember all those who died in that war and all wars since. And in particular, we remember the servicemen and the servicewomen who have fallen in these conflicts. Now, in 2020, during a period of national lockdown, we have been remembering around the world in a very different way. There was no march past of veterans and members of the public along past the cenotaph, but some veterans were still present at the much smaller and scaled down ceremony in Whitehall, so we can see them here socially distanced. There they are. Now, the Queen, who served in the Second World War, and members of the royal family usually attend this ceremony every year. But this year it was Prince William who laid at the cenotaph. There he is, laying a wreath. And the Queen was present, but she watched from the balcony. You can see her there on the balcony. That was in Whitehall. And other members of the royal family, they watched from their balconies, but they were socially distanced. So you can see there again, they would have ordinarily been down in front, directly in front of the monument that was built by Lutyens and designed to commemorate those who'd fallen in the Great War. And it's interesting, I've just read that over 1 million people walked past the cenotaph within the first 2 days after it was built. It was such a popular sort of focal point for remembrance. Now, another ceremony that the Queen performs every year, she goes to Westminster Abbey, and we can have a look at a photograph of her here. So this year she was asked, as was her equerry, and her equerry, Lieutenant Colonel Nana Kofi Tumwazi Ankara, he placed a bouquet of flowers on the tomb of the unknown warrior on her behalf. And usually she would place that herself, and she would do that in Westminster Abbey. But this year she was distanced, and he, as equerry, placed the bouquet of flowers on the tomb for her. So people up and down the UK have been creative in thinking up ways of remembering differently without congregating large groups. Now, there is a secret knitter known as the Knitting Banksy, and this knitter left on top of the post box on the High Street in the village of Siston in Leicestershire. So let's have a look at the photograph. Let's see what was placed on the post box. Okay, there it is. So this is a knitted representation of a soldier from the Great War surrounded by poppies, and no one knows the identity of the Knitting Banksy, but they'd obviously, I mean, to do something as intricate as that must have taken a huge amount of time. And the theme of knitted poppies was also taken up with the Church of St. Michael and All Angels in Lyndhurst. So let's have a look at that church. And some of you who live in the New Forest, you may have seen this. It's quite remarkable. 5,700 poppies that have been knitted from people all over the world were sculpted into a piece going down the side of the church, and it was entitled The Fall of the Fallen. And you can see here that that represents, and that's quite a significant and dramatic memorial and commemoration there. You may have stood in silence yesterday at 11 a.m., either at a service or an event. They were allowing those to take place as long as they were socially distanced. Or a number of people stood outside on their doorstep at 11 a.m. To commemorate, or wherever they were. They just stood still and quietly for 2 minutes of silence. Now, Mrs. Eels has launched a digital poppy challenge across the school. So let's have a look. And what we're asking you to do is to encourage as many of you as possible, perhaps in full time tomorrow or at home, to digitally draw a poppy, which we can print off and place around the school. You could put one in a window at home, or you could put one in a form room. So that's something for you to think about. But this year, they're asking us to be creative and to mark Remembrance Day, which is the Wednesday, the 11th, in a different way. So everyone can do that and get involved in terms of drawing something. It could be as a form, you could put it together and make a montage. That would be lovely. And then we could print some off and display them in your form windows. Now, usually for our Remembrance Assembly, we have a number of pupils involved, musicians who participate. And this year, because we're socially distanced, they have made a montage for us to signify Remembrance Day. So let's have a look and see what they've put together for us.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away.
So thank you very much to Millie Hiscox, to Bella Mahanji and Lucy Locke, and to Beatrice Richmond for contributing to this very special assembly this morning. Thank you. Now, I would like us all to stand for the prayer. So if you're in your form rooms or classrooms, you're going to stand, and we're going to have a prayer by Reverend Burke, after which there will be 2 minutes of silence. And at the end of the silence, Reverend Burke will say some words, and you will see something appear then on your screen. So Reverend Burke, if you'd like to say the prayer, please.
Ever-living God, we remember those who you have gathered from the storm of war into the peace of your presence. May that same peace calm our fears, bring justice to all peoples, and establish harmony among the nations through Jesus Christ our Lord. And those familiar words spoken in many countries of the world at this season of remembrance. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we shall remember them.
Thank you very much, Reverend Burke. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good week.